In a snow-draped Paris, as families lit festive candles, a shadowy plot was unfolding. While many raised glasses to Napoleon's reign, others whispered of his downfall. On this Christmas Eve, an explosive secret threatened to change history. Dive into a tale of intrigue, danger, and the unexpected twists that kept an emperor on his throne. Chapter 1. A festive evening in Paris. Paris was draped in a blanket of snow, shimmering under the moonlight. Streets bustled with joyous families, children giggling, playing with snowballs, and vendors selling warm chestnuts. Amidst the revelry, the city hummed with tales of Emperor Napoleon's recent triumphs. Towering statues and fluttering flags sang praises of his unmatched glory. But as night deepened, a different tune played in the alleyways. Whispers swirled amongst cloaked figures, their eyes sharp and intentions hidden. While most of Paris dreamt of Christmas feasts and songs, these few plotted a different kind of celebration. Unbeknownst to the emperor, as the city prepared to celebrate, the seeds of treachery were being sown. A plan so audacious, it threatened to turn the night's festivities into a night of horror. As Paris rejoiced, the clock ticked on, with every passing moment bringing Napoleon closer to a plot that aimed to end his reign. Chapter 2. Whispers in the Shadows. In a dim candle-lit room, far from the merry streets of Paris, a group of men gathered. Their faces, partly hidden by hoods, showed lines of worry and determination. The room was filled with hushed voices and the faint scent of gunpowder. "We can't let him continue," one man murmured, his fingers drumming on the table. "He's too powerful." A map lay sprawled in the center, streets and routes marked meticulously. Alongside it, a detailed sketch of a machine, dark and foreboding. A tall figure leaned in. "The Infernal Machine," he whispered, pointing at the sketch. "This is our chance." Eyes widened. It was an audacious plan. The machine, loaded with explosives, was designed to bring Napoleon's parade to a devastating halt. As the clock's chime echoed through the room, they knew time was short. While Paris celebrated, these men worked in shadows, weaving a plot that could change the course of history. Chapter 3. The Infernal Machine. The heart of the plot was a cart, seemingly innocent but deadly in its intent. Hidden beneath layers of hay and cloth was a devastating secret. Barrels filled with gunpowder and shrapnel, ready to unleash chaos. In a hidden workshop, two men labored, sweat dripping from their brows. Every nail, every fuse, and every ounce of gunpowder was positioned with utmost precision. The Infernal Machine was not just a bomb. It was their hope for a new France. "What if it fails?" one man asked, wiping his grimy hands. "We've planned every detail," replied the other, confidence evident in his eyes. "Once it's on the street, there's no turning back." The chosen spot was perfect. A narrow section of Napoleon's parade route where the explosion's impact would be maximized. The city's joyous celebrations and music would mask their sinister preparations. As the cart was wheeled into position under the cloak of night, Paris remained oblivious. Tomorrow's parade was set to be a spectacle, but not in the way anyone expected. Chapter 4. Napoleon's Change of Heart. Within the grand walls of Napoleon's palace, golden chandeliers gleamed and velvet curtains swayed. Napoleon stood by the window, lost in thought. Josephine, his beloved wife, approached with a worried look. "I've heard whispers," she began. "Rumors of treachery tonight." Napoleon smirked, brushing off her concerns. "I am the emperor. Who dares threaten me?" But fate had plans of its own. As he prepared to leave for the Christmas Mass, a messenger hurried in, delivering an unexpected message. There was a delay, a minor hiccup that changed the entire parade route. Without giving it much thought, Napoleon gave the nod. "Very well, take the alternate route." Outside, snow began to fall more heavily, cloaking the streets in white serenity. The city rejoiced, unaware that this slight change, this simple twist of fate, would be the difference between life and death for the powerful emperor and the future of France. Chapter 5. The Explosion. Dawn broke, casting the first light upon the snowy streets of Paris. Crowds gathered, eagerly awaiting the emperor's grand procession. Vendors shouted, children laughed, and music echoed. The atmosphere was electric. Hidden amidst the merriment, the conspirators watched nervously. The Infernal Machine, disguised beneath festive decorations, sat ready. One of the plotters held a lit torch, his eyes locked on the route Napoleon was to take. Minutes felt like hours. Then, from a distance, the muffled sound of marching feet grew louder. It was time. The torch touched the fuse, and a soft hiss began. The conspirator retreated, melting into the crowd, heart pounding. But as the fuse burned, something unexpected occurred. Instead of the emperor's carriage, a group of local performers passed by the cart. Boom! Flames soared, smoke enveloped the streets, and panic erupted. The explosion had been colossal, but Napoleon was nowhere near it. A plan years in the making had unraveled in mere moments. The emperor was safe, and Paris was left in shock. Chapter 6. The Aftermath. The once cheerful streets of Paris were now a cacophony of cries and confusion. Buildings smoked and debris littered the snow-drenched roads. Families held onto each other, searching for lost loved ones amidst the chaos. At the palace, word of the explosion reached Napoleon. Shock crossed his face, but it quickly turned to steely determination. "Find those responsible," he commanded, his voice icy. The hunt began immediately. Soldiers and spies scoured every corner of Paris, piecing together the events of that fateful morning. The city's festive spirit had been replaced by an air of suspicion and fear. One by one, the conspirators were found, their dreams of a different France crushed. As they were dragged through the streets in chains, their eyes told stories of desperation, hope, and ultimate defeat. Yet, amid the turmoil, Napoleon's power only grew. He was the emperor who'd escaped death, the leader who'd defied fate. His reign, instead of being weakened, became the stuff of legends. Chapter 7. Justice and Celebration. Inside the palace's grand courtroom, the captured conspirators faced their judgment. The room buzzed with whispers, as spectators and dignitaries waited to hear the fate of the men who dared challenge Napoleon. One by one, each conspirator was given a moment to speak. Their words echoed with defiance, remorse, and fleeting hopes of a changed nation. Outside the courtroom, life tried to find its rhythm again. Parisians began to gather, transforming their shock into resilience. Street musicians played uplifting tunes, children resumed their snowball fights, and vendors reopened their stalls, determined to recapture the lost joy of Christmas. That evening, Napoleon and Josephine sat together, their palace adorned with festive lights and evergreens. As they exchanged gifts and whispered sweet nothings, Josephine remarked, "It truly is a Christmas miracle." Napoleon nodded, his thoughts deep and reflective. Miracle or not, we must always remember that every day we have is a gift, especially when it's nearly taken from us. Chapter 8. Epilogue. The Lessons of History. As the snow began to melt and Paris ushered in a new year, the tale of the Christmas Eve plot became the stuff of legends. Tales of the near miss and the Infernal Machine were recounted in hushed tones in every corner of the city. But beyond the thrill and drama, the event offered a lesson that echoed through the corridors of time. It wasn't just about one man's destiny or the audacity of a few rebels. It was about the unpredictability of life and the thin line between triumph and disaster. Napoleon's reign, filled with battles and conquests, was also marked by this moment of vulnerability, a reminder that fate has its own plans, no matter how powerful one might be. History, after all, is not just a record of events. It's a rich tapestry of human dreams, ambitions, failures, and the inexorable march of time that shapes them all.